in math, we're exploring fractions in different ways. One way we're doing that is using a manipulative called fraction circles. And this helps kids see the size of fractions, and it helps them understand the relationship between the numerator and the denominator. So this circle represents our whole, and we know this is 1 out of 1. We have one whole, and this is 1 out of 1 that we're focused on. We can see what a half looks like of the whole, and that 2 halves make a whole. We can look at thirds. We have 1, 2, 3 equal parts, and we know that that's the denominator because we have 3 equal parts that equal the whole. This would be 1/3, 2/3, and then 3/3 that make a whole. We can also we also have fourths, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 make a whole. So we use these fractions to see what fractions look like. We can also compare and contrast fractions with the fraction circles. So we can see that 2/4 is an equivalent fraction to 1/2. We can see that 1/3 is an equivalent fraction to 2/6. And also we can see that a fraction like 1/10, a lot of kids get confused and they think that the bigger the denominator, the bigger the fraction, when actually it's just the opposite. You take a whole and you break it up into 10 equal pieces. That's a lot smaller than breaking up a whole into 3 equal pieces, so that it helps us compare and contrast fractions. Also, we're using fraction tower cubes, and these tower cubes also help us see the relationship of fractions to a whole. So we have, this is our whole right here. We have one whole, we have halves, and fourths, thirds, fifths, tenths, sixths, all the way up to 12ths and eighths right here. But anyway, they help us see fractions. So just like I could see with the fraction circles, I could see that 2 equal parts equal 1 whole, that 3 equal parts equal 1 whole. I can see here that 1/2 equals 2/4 if I take it apart. And I can see that 2/3 equals 3/6. 2/3 will equal 3/6. And then I can also contrast the fractions too. If I, just like I showed you before, if I have 1/10, I can see that 1/10 is actually smaller than 1/3. Then we also use our fraction towers when we're thinking about number lines. We learned that we can partition a number line. We can partition a number line or break a number line up into equal parts, fractional parts. So if I look at this number line right here, and we learned that fractions are between whole numbers. Fractions are between whole numbers. So I can label this number line here. If I have 0 and I have 1, I know that. So between 0 and 1, there are fractions. So we can see that this is 1 whole. Our number line is a whole. Then I can divide my number line into 2 equal parts. I can line this up, and I see that 2 halves make our whole. And then I can make a tick mark to show 1/2 on the number line right here. And I can label that 1/2. I can break my number line up into thirds as well. And I can show 1/3 on the number line. And I can see that 1/3 is smaller than 1/2. So it helps us see fractions on a number line. We also learned how to just break. We learned they help us see fractions, and they can help us see equivalent fractions too. If I have 2/4, I can say also equals 1/2 on the number line. One other way that another manipulative we use to understand fractions is a geoboard, and the geoboard helps us break up whole shapes into they're equal parts. So if I have an elastic band around this whole rectangle right here, this is my whole, and I can break my whole up into fractions. So I can see that if I put 1 right here, this, if I break it into 4 equal parts, here's 1/4. Right here, this would be 2/4. And 3/4, and then my final fourth, 1/4. So I can see that this is 1/4 right here. This is actually 1/4, right? 1/4. And if I take away this band right here, and I show it this way, I can see that this part is 2/4. This is 2/4. If I take away another band, I can see that this part of my shape is 3/4. And then I have 1/4. That's right here. 1/4 plus 3/4 equals 4/4. And if I take my band away, that is 4/4. So these are just some of the ways that we've been exploring fractions.